Hi, I'm Mitra Sorrells in the PhocusWire studio, and I am joined by Klaus Kohlmayr from IDeaS and George Roukas from Hudson Crossing. And we are here to talk today a bit about hotel revenue management strategies, distribution. Very interested to hear some of your thoughts on what's happening in that space. I thought it might be interesting if we started from the standpoint of, if the two of you were opening a hotel together today, the Klaus and George Hotel, what would your revenue management and distribution strategies look like?
Wow.
Like how would you build it from fresh?
All right.
Yeah.
Do you want
Jump
to start?
in.
You go. You got that one.
Interesting. At first, I would ask probably if it's a brand or independent, but let's assume it's an independent hotel.
Okay.
So a couple things. I would make sure that all my technology is in the cloud, and there's nothing on premise, and that it's future-proof, meaning that it's expandable, and I can plug additional items in as they become available. I would make sure that they all talk to each other very efficiently, and data gets exchanged seamlessly between all the different data points, and they're using modern connections and integrations rather than some file transfers.
Yeah.
And I guess the third one would be that they're enabled to serve a customer journey digitally. So from end to end, booking through arrival, through serving the customer on property to post-stay engagement, that the entire journey can be digitized and can be personalized.
Okay. And of course, you're a half partner in this hotel as well.
Yeah.
So are you on board with that, or anything to add?
Totally on board with what he said. I think from a technical perspective, I would add in that in addition to being cloud native systems, I would want something that is based on microservices and API first. So, in years gone by, one of the big problems that we always had, even just trying to connect a PMS and a CRS for distribution, was these integrations took forever. They cost a lot of money. They were very error prone. And everyone tried to get to a two-way interface where you shifted information between the two seamlessly, but sometimes you had to settle for a 1.5, and we even heard some people making up 1.25, 1.1 way. What is a 1.1 way? So something that is very flexible and allows you to communicate seamlessly at real time at very high speeds, being able to break apart the interconnections between all of these disparate systems today that are freestanding and really make them work together in real time is really, it's a sort of a holy grail. So I would love to be able to have Mitra come and shop, and as soon as she hits the website, we recognize her, she logs in, we know all of her preferences, where she stayed before, what kinds of rooms she'd chosen, and so we could recommend for her exactly what she wants. The corner suite with a hot stone massage and, yada, yada.
Yeah, that sounds great. So it's interesting because, of course, this is a somewhat tongue-in-cheek example here that I presented, but in a way, it sounds to me as if it's potentially easier to build that from scratch than the retrofitting that some are trying to do today. I mean, there's a lot of challenges there.
Yeah, there's a lot of change management that obviously goes on when you rip out an existing infrastructure. There's a lot of legacy connections and systems, and legacy financial considerations as well, right? When you have an older system, has it been depreciated and all that? So it's definitely better, and it's much cheaper now than maybe 10 years ago to put all these very next generation technology components in place. Yeah, and it's much more efficient and can be done much quicker than in the past. Yeah.
What about, are there legacy mindsets too? Is that, I'm just,
Next question.
There's definitely legacy mindsets too. But a lot of people talk about underinvestment in technology in the industry and under innovation. And I really think that it's over the last few years that's changed. Yeah. And especially during COVID, that's really accelerated. And we see a lot of innovation and technology investment accelerating.
I think we've seen more change in the hotel distribution models in the last 5 years than in the 25 that came before. It just seems like when technology finally got to the point where we saw these cloud-based, cloud-native microservice architectures, all of a sudden companies were coming up with ways to connect and do things that never could be even thought about realistically before. So it's now's the time.
So let's talk, you gave the example of I'm visiting your hotel and all those lovely services that I'm picking out. This whole attribute-based shopping piece. love to get your thoughts on that and kind of what is the roadmap for that, and what do you see happening maybe, let's say, in the next year?
Yeah, I think we've both been evangelists in attribute-based shopping for the last few years, haven't we?
Yes, I'm a partner and chief evangelist for ABS at Hudson Crossing. So, ABS is something that came on our radar about 2017, so before the pandemic. And we started thinking about it, and we just said, wow, this is going to be amazing. To be able to buy a hotel room the way we buy everything else today, from pizzas to cars to whatever. We are so used to being able to pick a base thing and then add to it exactly what we want.
Yeah.
And yet, if you bought a pizza the way you buy hotels, instead of having 5 additions and 3 base pizzas, you would have a book with 6,000 pages in it showing every individual combination of pies. And so this is something that we actually are used to doing. And I think, over the last 5 years, COVID notwithstanding, we've seen a gradual shift. And now it's sort of in the adoption curve, the S curve, it's kind of coming up, and it's now on that upswing where it's starting to really gain traction. And we now see that there are a good half dozen CRS vendors that actually have an attribute data model underlying their CRS that can support real attribute-based shopping, which is different from shopping for ancillaries.
Right.
That's very big difference. And there are some
Still
companies,
a lot of confusion, I think,
Yes.
right?
some of it very intentional, that an ancillary, a bottle of wine, flowers, a ticket to a theater, all of those things are great. Buying a cabana down at the pool, those are ancillaries. They are not tied to the room, which is a very special thing that resonates with everybody. I may not want a cabana every time I stay, but I probably will want that king bed every time I stay. I probably will want, to be on the floor where they have the breakfast room and so forth. So those kinds of things are going to be very important.
There is 2 things really, just adding on. One is that a lot of companies now asking, how can I enable attribute-based shopping and pricing, and what are the technologies I need to buy to enable that?
Right.
So there's a purchase behavior that happens with attribute-based shopping in mind, which makes me very happy and comfortable that we're going to get there. And then the second one, if we ask chief commercial officers and the leaders in the industry what they want to achieve down the road, it's all about how do I sell anything that a hotel can offer on the room side and auxiliary side, and do that anytime to any customer, with all the personalization and everything behind it. So I am very confident that while we've spent the last few years evangelizing it, it's really now accelerating, and we'll see it happen in the next few years.
Like a tipping point is coming.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
It also strikes me that it potentially becomes a real selling point, that once we start to see this in action, customers will demand it.
Yes.
Potentially,
Yes.
right?
And we feel that as soon as one hotel company will have cracked it, everyone else will want it too, right? And then you'll see the snowball effect kicking in very quickly.
And the thing about it that, we've been evangelizing it, and one of the things that we've been telling people is ABS takes a long time. There's a long gestation period for it. Okay. If you decide you want to be able to provide ABS capabilities on your hotel website or your brand website, you can't just spin that up in a couple of years.
Right.
It takes 4 years maybe from the point where you decide that you want to do something, going out and finding a CRS that's enabled. There are a whole bunch of housekeeping tasks. You have to inventory all your attributes and assign them to rooms, and all that stuff takes years. So
yeah, is that of course is a bit of the impediment, right? I would think, especially right now, there's a lot of feeling of we just want to be capturing, business, and the world's open back up and making up for some of the lost time, and maybe not the willingness to have that patience.
Yeah, but at the same time, a lot of hotel companies are looking at how do they diversify their revenue streams.
Yeah.
And not just make all the revenues from rooms. And you can hear Sebastian, the CEO of Accor, he always talks about how Ennismore, their lifestyle division, drives 50% or more non-room revenue, and how they want to replicate that across the entire organization. So you have a focus of the boards and the C-level at hotel companies really looking at how do we drive more revenue streams, not just from rooms. So there's a diversification angle as well that's helping that.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, Klaus and George, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure this is a topic we're going to be following very closely. So maybe we'll check in with you both again and see how your hotel's doing and, the journey with others. Maybe you can be the model.
Stay with us.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.